over 500 points the year they went to the Super Bowl. Now, this past year, they scored 200 points less than what they scored going to the Super Bowl. Now, let me tell you the difference. This is where the key come in. Remember Kyle Shanahan left to go be the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the 49ers, they get Jimmy Garoppolo till the trade deadline. Remember that? But at the end of the day, they finished last year in the top 15 in total offense. They finished 12th. Year before that, when Shanahan was with the Atlanta Falcons, the 49ers finished 31st in the NFL in total offense. That goes to show you the difference what that man brings. Now, Steve Sarkisian, who we all know, Steve Sarkisian, seemed like, I'm not gonna never throw Steve under the bus. I really hope he do improve. Remember, Sarkisian was the play caller when Lane Kiffin got the boot from Alabama, and he had a call that night. It looked like he had not a lot of rhythm. That was his first night, the championship game, to call plays for the Alabama Crimson Tide for the Marbles. He didn't have no rhythm. Still, I found some parts last year when Atlanta looked stagnant on certain drives. They had to pull out trick plays to score. But year before that, they were just moving the ball with ease. Running outside zone, running inside zone, doing bootlegs off the outside zone, going shots down the field. Last year, it didn't look so easy to them last year. So I want to see how much they're going to improve offensively and how much more they're going to give PT more. Are they going to get back to their identity, moving the ball inside, outside zone, moving it with ease, getting back to the bootlegs, trying to get their shots down the field. But to me, they really struggled last year. You know, when Jalen Ramsey came out and said about Matt Ryan being overrated, which I think, first thing first, Jalen Ramsey making them comments that he made, I do not disagree with anything he said. He is truly the NFL fan that feels exactly how a lot of NFL fans feel, except he's in the league and he could say it and it'd be well more known. Jalen Ramsey made a perfectly point as well when he said scheme can help out a player as well. That was Kyle Shanahan's scheme before he left to go to San Francisco. Now, under Steve Sarkisian's scheme, things don't look the same. You get what I'm saying? But now I want to know how much Atlanta going to make us that step forward and improve and prove the haters wrong. You know, if Atlanta come in week one, day one, and beat the Eagles on championship night, that's a statement to the rest of the division. I cannot lie. Between the Saints, the Bucks, and the Panthers, let them know that we really want to get back to the Super Bowl, get to Super Bowl 53, and in our home stadium in Atlanta. That'll be a hell of a statement if they beat the Philadelphia Eagles week one, day one. Now, remember last year, they finished 11-5. Let's get on to the next team, the Carolina Panthers. I want to see how much they have improved as well. Now, granted, they got rid of, I apologize. Granted, Christian McCaffrey is your guy this year. No more Jonathan Stewart. Christian McCaffrey is your guy. I want to see how much Christian going to take, how much of a true runner he's going to become. Remember, he's a playmaker. At the end of that Saint game, early January, he made a play to kind of spark him back in the game, and next thing you know, the game came down to a potential game-winning pass in the end zone, and then it came down to a sack, and Saints go on to the Minnesota Vikings. He's a game changer. You got a game plan for Christian McCaffrey. I definitely think that he's going to help them out, with Devin Funchess, DJ Moore, Greg Olsen. I mean, that's some big body guys that they have, replacing Kelvin Benjamin that's now in with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Cam Newton got some help over there, especially if defensively they can still find themselves in a good spot this year. And once again, like I said, the Carolina Panthers, they are one of the best teams when they play smart in the league. There was a reason why they made the playoffs, just like the Falcons and the Saints. Truly one of the best teams in the league when they're on point. They're going to take on Dallas week one. I definitely want to see what they're going to do against that Dallas defense. You got a lot of questions to answer. And defensively, I want to see, because remember, they lose a lot on defense every year, look like it. Josh Norman, they lost Kurt Coleman to the Saints, they lost AJ Klein. I mean, they losing a little bit every single year to free agency. So that Super Bowl defense not as well intact as it was a few years ago. So I want to see what's going to happen with the Carolina Panthers defensively this year as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Vita Veda and Jerry McCoy. I really do like that matchup. I mean, that's going to cause havoc on the defensive line and for offensive linemen. James Winston, we all know about him. He being suspended for the first 4 games of the year because of the Uber situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be your starter against the New Orleans Saints. I mean, with Tampa, the talent that they have was misunderstood, don't need to be explained. But the Buccaneers, I said it last year. I told my uncle last year in Titusville, Florida. He's a big Bucs fan. I'm a Saints fan. I didn't know how good our team could be. I said if we do make the playoffs, we're going to be a wild card team. But I said I don't think we make it because I think we still got some questions to answer, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Our defense is going to have to determine where we go. I said that about the Saints last year, but what Tampa did in the middle of the season, close to the end, that 2016 year, it made me a believer like, okay, we ready to take the next step, become a playoff team and fight in the wild card and make moves in the wild card game. And I thought Tampa Bay was going to outbeat the Falcons. I thought they was going to be outbeat the Saints. I thought they were going to be outbeat the Panthers. It was about 10 wins. In actuality, all 3 teams went 11-5. But if Tampa win a few more games, I mean, that could have happened easily. The Saints found themselves going 0-3, going to London. I don't think that we still talk about New Orleans going to the second round of the playoffs, if you ask me. I'm just saying, Tampa's so close from being a playoff contender and then making a run for a Super Bowl again, but it's the foolishness that holds them back. And that's why I said this before. Jameis Winston is holding this franchise back, and if he comes back, because the first 3 games they got New Orleans, Philly, and Pittsburgh. Let's just say they find themselves in the 0-3 hole. And if he comes back and play lower than what he's supposed to, the word on the street going to start to talk that you might want to move on from Jameis Winston because he's holding your franchise back when you have all this talent to make a great run in the playoffs. I don't know what to do from there, but that's what's going to start saying. And I really pull for Jameis Winston, even though I know he's in our division. But I always thought the mechanics and the system he came from Florida State, he was mentally and physically prepared to be an NFL quarterback. But, like I said this earlier, weeks, probably in July, about Marcus Mariota, who won his first playoff game this past year. He came back on the road and made it more impressive. I mean, this is starting to hurt Jameis Winston, especially if Mariota finds himself with a 11-5 record or a 12-4 record with a bye. It's not looking too good for Jameis. So, it's a big question mark to me for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. And finally, y'all know I'm going to finish with the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, 11-5 division. They are the reigning defending NFC South champions, trying to defend their title. Ain't much to talk about. I mean, you think about the good things. Drew Brees coming back. He had 2 more years on the contract. Mark Ingram suspended for the first 4 games of the year. But Alvin Kamara, who I think is going to do some good things for the Saints in the first 4 weeks, who probably going to be the hot hand for the rest of the year. But which can be a good thing because by the time you start going into November, December, especially when you start thinking about Thanksgiving game, and you play the Cowboys on a Thursday night the following week, you're going to need some fresh legs running at people going into December when you got to face the Carolina Panthers twice in December. So you're going to need some fresh legs going into the last part of the season. I think, if you ask me, this could be a blessing for the Saints, especially if you keep a fresh Mark Ingram running into the late part of the year, going into January. Hello, somebody. Going into January let's just say the Saints find themselves second or first in the NFC. Hell, even if they find themselves back in the wild card again, run into the late parts of the year where you got to go into them late runs trying to make a Super Bowl run. That's kind of in their advantage because you don't have to use Mark Ingram as much. Because to a degree, when you looked at some of the parts of the year, them boys was kind of worn out. They was worn out. Looked like the run game wasn't too effective like it was earlier in the year. But by the time the playoffs came, they was kind of worn out. They was worn out. But I think now since they got there, they know what their bodies got to get ready for, what they got to do to be prepared to make that run in the playoffs. Defensively, like I said, I mean, everybody still got the one play that's highlighting Marcus Williams' career. But, I mean, I think this young man's going to prove himself as an all-pro safety this season. I mean, I follow him on Instagram. He works so hard, and I wish I could work out with him. He works so hard, and, like, he making so many plays in camp right now. Even, I mean, today with the joint practice. Like, he's in the middle of everything. So this man really has improved himself, and I think he's not. That one play was the best thing that could happen to him because I think it's going to improve his career, and he's going to be one of the all-time greats for the Saints. I think because he's working so hard. Also, you know, it's just I could talk about this team for so long. You know, I want to see what Karen Merritt is going to do. I want to see what Traquan Smith going to do. I want to see how Benjamin Watson going to come back and make a difference for the tight end play this season. You know, that's going to help out. More weapons for the Saints is something that defenses don't want to see. They really don't. And I think that's where we at right now with the New Orleans Saints. You know, more weapons, and we really packing up right now. Let's make this run. At the same time, I think we still have enough pieces to start thinking about, okay, we still have a team to have after Drew Brees retired. You know, Rick Leonard, who's an offensive tackle. I think that's a move that's going to help out years down the line. Will Clapp is another man who they drafted this year that's going to help out years down the line. I think next year's draft, we're going to see a lot of teams this past year made futuristic moves to help their franchise. Like the Baltimore Ravens did the biggest futuristic moves with the 2 tight ends they drafted this past year, and they also got Lamar Jackson. That's moves for the future. That's not moves for right now. I think the Saints going to find themselves next year with a lot of pieces for the future. And a lot of pieces that they have right now is for the future that's playing on the field. Like you think about Lattimore, Williams, Von Bell, Kamara, Michael Thomas. Those are keystone pillars that's going to be on your franchise for as long as you can afford them, you know. So that's where I think where everybody's at with that right now. I think the Saints are in a good spot. The division is hard still. I mean, it's hard for me to say they win the division because you still got the Panthers and the Falcons. You know, sorry to Tampa. I don't think Tampa Bay really going to have a chance. But at the end of the day, I do like where the franchise is going. I think it's going to come down to them 3 teams again. And every division game counts. Straight up. Every division game counts. No team, I think, has won a division back-to-back. Maybe except the Carolina Panthers. I believe. I got to go back and do my research on that. But I think the Carolina Panthers are the only team to win it back-to-back. But want to see that's going to happen this season. And we're going to pretty much go from there. I'm very excited. Saints play the Buccaneers week 1 this year. And that's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, when LSU kick off, going to kick off next week, going to Labor Day weekend, we're going to come on Fridays, talk about LSU and some of the buzz around them in Miami and some other week 1 games. And then from there, we're going to start Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And that Friday, we're going to start getting prepared. Actually, Wednesday, we're going to get prepared for kickoff against the Eagles and the Falcons. That's all we're going to talk about Wednesday. Friday, we're going to talk about the aftermath of it. Talk about week 2 of LSU, who they play that Saturday. Talk about week 1 with the Saints. And Monday, we'll talk about the aftermath and everything like that. So those who followed me last year, y'all know how this show normally goes. And that's when the content just start flowing a little bit more, a little bit quicker, a little bit better than just so much looking for stuff, you know. So let's talk about LSU right quick. LSU transfer quarterbacks. Justin McMillan and Lowell Narcisse are transferring out the program. Now, I'm not so surprised about McMillan. Yeah, he wasn't all that great anyway. But good luck to Justin McMillan wherever he goes. I hope he have a chance to extend his career and play somewhere this season. Norris Cease is going to Mississippi Junior College this year. Now, some people,